Hi, I'm Linda. I'm the founder and director of Visionize Fashion Design and Manufacturing Services. Visionize is a small team but a mighty team. We assist both startup and established brands with everything from concept design to tech packs to sample to bulk production and logistics and delivery. Ethics and sustainability is always at the forefront at Visionize. To create and run a clothing brand from scratch requires you to wear a lot of different hats, and it is very hard to be an expert at everything. So that's why we are here offering a professional team so that you can get assistance in the areas where you need it. As part of the passion framework, you will have one point of contact. You'll be assigned to a senior designer and product manager from one of our offices in Australia. And she will show you the ropes on how to manage this whole journey, and it's up to you when you feel comfortable taking over whatever tasks that might be communicating and managing with the manufacturers, or we help where help is needed. And our program is flexible to suit your needs, so we can customize our program to your needs, or we can alter it as we go along. We've also set up a project management system for you so that you will have a good overview of everything that goes on in your project, like your timelines or your actionable tasks. Everything's laid out in order, and all the communication, everything's in one place so that you don't lose track of all the little bits and pieces that goes on in your project. It can very quickly get chaotic when you're starting with dealing with multiple styles, and there are so many elements that comes into it. So it's really important to consolidate all that information so it's easy to track, and you can, at the press of a button, see exactly where you're up to with everything. We have divided the fashion framework into 3 steps, and each step is purchased separately. The first step is the design stage, and the second step is the sampling stage, and the third step is bulk production. Most of our clients will go through the 3 steps the first time around. The first time around is obviously going to be the hardest because you're creating everything from scratch, and then as you move along, you've learned how to do it, and you can start to take over. Throughout step 1, you work on your range development. You may have already a really clear idea about what you want to design and produce, but designing something that looks good is the easier part. That's the fun part. The hard part is designing to a budget and production feasibility, and that's what takes experience. So that's where our design team can really help you out. So at the end of step 1, you will have developed your tech packs, and we will then organize some quotes from our manufacturing option. When we get the quotes back, we'll do a budget meeting with you. We want to make sure our clients make calculated decisions before they invest the time and money into setting up with the factory and start producing physical samples. And we do this by calculating the production cost base of your tech pack. And once we have the quotes back, we may weigh up a couple of different options. Then the most viable quote will do a full collection budget on. So the factories will invoice in US dollars. We will calculate, if you're based in Australia, we'll convert it to Australian dollars and estimate the landed cost, including your import and freight charges. And then we'll also work at a pricing strategy for you based on where you sit in the marketplace, but also how you need to be priced according to the actual production cost. So this is something that the designer will work with you on an earlier stage, making sure that you've aligned yourself correctly in the marketplace. You're not comparing to mass-produced brands, for example, or brands that are not aligned with your budget and production capabilities. We'll work out your pricing strategy, whether you're going to do wholesale or just direct retail or both, and also estimate then your net profit. And for your net profit, we'll base that on the most likely sell-through. So we're always going to be conservative in a budget, not gambling on you selling 100% of your stock at full price. So we'll be basing it on a realistic percentage of sell-through, and we want to see that net profit is not only going to pay back everything that you've invested into this range, which obviously is going to be a lot more expensive the first time around than ongoing ranges because you're setting up from scratch, so there's a lot of one-off costs associated with the first range. and but we still want to see that you're going to be able to obviously recoup the cost, but also have enough profit to move forward and invest into future ranges. And once you've done your budget, you'll have a really good overview of what this range is going to cost you and what it's going to earn you, and you can make some really informed, calculated decisions in terms of what styles you're going into production with, how many units, how many colors, and which factory you're going to set up with. And we want you to make a really good decision about the factory that you set up with. This is a long-term relationship that you will be building, and you don't want to invest the time and money in the wrong place. So when you move into step 2, we'll introduce you to the factory that you've accepted the quotation from, and we also provide you the manufacturing agreement and also any certifications that the factory holds as well. Throughout step 2 and 3, there are a lot of communication back and forth with the factory, and you'll learn the ropes on how to handle everything, and hopefully you'll be equipped to do it yourself if that's what you like when you move on to range number 2. The design and production manager that's helped you so far can still be available to help you on a casual basis. It is really important for us and for our manufacturing partners that when our clients take over the communication directly, that they really are equipped to do that and do it in a streamlined way that is easy for the manufacturer to keep track of the project, that information is provided in a clear and organized way so that things don't get lost. We have long-term relationships up to 20 years with our manufacturers, so this is something that gives a bit of a safety net for our clients as well. If you're not a small fish in the ocean with us, our manufacturing partners knows that the brands that have been assisted by our services have a far higher success rate. We have helped over 200 startups successfully launch and grow their business. This program is designed to cover the basics of what we find most startup brands need. Now, it doesn't include tech packs, for example. Tech packs is something we can only quote when we know how many styles you have and the complexity of them. We price the tech packs in categories of basic, intermediate, and complex. So once you have completed your design handover, which our designers will help you with, that's when we determine the cost of the tech packs. In step 2, you will need to do some sample reports. That is not included as well because it all depends on how many rounds of samples you're doing, how many samples you're doing. Every time you get a sample back, and if you need to report any changes, you've got to update the tech pack. So again, that will be quoted and invoiced separately. We always try to forecast and advise you in advance of any costs. So if you like to know pricing on tech packs or sample report, we can absolutely send you that, and you'll be able to gauge a rough price based on our pricing strategy of basic, intermediate, and complex, which we can further explain. When you sign up to the Fashion Framework, you'll receive a welcome email, a login to our members pages where you can access all your free resources, and you get logins to the project management system that we set up with you, and then you get access to schedule meetings with your design and production manager via our website, which is not then chargeable because you have allocated time, and it's up to you how you use that time, whether you need more time in one area and less time in another area. So when you see all the items included in the Fashion Framework, it doesn't mean that they are necessarily all items that you spend time on, but that some of the items might just be checkpoints, such as checking your IP and trademarks and registrations and things of your business. That's just a courtesy of us making sure that you've done all the things you need to do, and that we're not going to run into issues when we produce your clothes with a branding that you're not allowed to use, for example. If you need add-ons like creating logos or branding, etc., time can be spent with the designer developing the concept for it, but to actually create the logo and digitize the final files, put your branding onto a layout for your neck labels, wing tickets, etc. That is an additional job that we will then quote and invoice separately as you need it. You might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed at this point, but don't stress. We have for many years, and we still are every day, helping out people with no industry experience whatsoever. It takes a team. You're not in it on your own. we're here to help you too.